Greetings, welcome back to the garden, and this is where we at Let's Grow plus 231 HQ. And today we are going to build a compost heap structure and make some compost from scratch. So at the start of this video, you can see me with my tape measure. So I'm going to measure the compost enclosure. So what I'm trying to do is to achieve this perfect environment for decomposition. This is what the experts said, not me. They said 1 meter by 1 meter, and if you use meter, and 3 by 3 feet if you are using feet where you are or any part of the globe that you find yourself. And don't forget about the height. So the compost needs to be wide as well as tall as it is wide to achieve this perfect environment for decomposition. That's all. It's going to happen whether we do something about it or not. Next, you see me with my pickaxe and I'm going to dig a trench because I need to put in some sticks or posts so I can hold everything together. So yeah, compost is one of the best things you can do for your garden because it's going to enrich the soil. It's going to help to continue this reuse, recycle. You become a part of the cycle. So I'm digging this trench and I'm going to put some sticks in to create an enclosure. In some parts of the world, I know you have free access to pallets, and pallets make this garden task very simple. But here in Liberia, pallets are actually sellable items, so they are not waste, and you will probably not get anyone to give them to you for free. So you would have to pay to use some pallets. But if you can't afford the pallets, you could do this compost tax easily without too much struggle. Now I'm going to look for some sticks. I'm actually going to cut them myself. So I can say again, use whatever look up to you, and that's a part of the sustainability, making it eco-friendly, and you know what's available in abundance in your area. You know the ones you can take, and it's not going to cause a struggle to the environment. These sticks that I'm taking, they are really fast growing brush and they're going to grow back in no time. So I go and take the sticks, and whilst I'm at the sticks, I'm not going to let the top to go to waste. So I'm going to keep the tops. There you go. You can see the green tubs. They were just going to lie there anyway because I cut off the bottoms. So I'm going to add that to the compost pile. Because the ideal composition of your compost heap should be 75% green, 25% browns. This isn't my words, these are the experts. They have done it time and time again. And I also have to let you know that decomposition will happen with or without our intervention. But this method is just to achieve the fastest outcome. So I get my sticks and I cut the leaves which I will use as well as I have got everything laid out. And this what we are going to do. We are going to build this compost enclosure because I am a very hands-on person and obviously I like to work with my hands. So although this might look a little bit complicated to you, I really enjoy doing it. And there are simpler ways of doing it if you really have nothing. As I said to you, if you have a farm, you will not bother with all this. You just pile all the compost, make a heap, leave it in the pile. The decomposition will happen whether you did anything or not. But I only have a little garden and I like to use my hands. So I'm going to build my little compost heap. So there you go. The trench that I dug earlier now, I'm putting in the post and I'm going to put these sticks in to create some kind of like a fence. Then that will give me the structure I need to hold the compost in together. And some of the advantages, I will not have them blowing or hanging all around. I will just keep it compact together and also make decomposition faster. I get some dirt which I am going to use to reinforce the sticks staying in. So I'm putting this dirt into the holes to let the sticks be really firm and not move at all. I have also got this neat reed by the side which I'm going to use to do the cross sections of the fence. Okay, so like horizontal, and I put little bits of waste plastic or bags which I've cut, and I'm going to tie these cross sections just to make it strong and secure. As best as I can. And as I said, it could be done in easier ways. There are lots of different methods, but I am a very hands-on person and I like to work with my hands. And I had a bit of time that day, although I wasn't feeling too good. I just had the urge to do this. I'm going to make this enclosure and I'm going to tie all these little ribbon strips that I have cut from all the waste lying about, and then we will see what we get at the end. I also had a lot of grass that had been kept when we were clearing the new HQ that I needed to get on as soon as possible. I was already a few days late and the grass was turning brown, so I decided to build one heap, one enclosure. Usually you will have three, so you would easily turn the compost. But I did one at the start so I can get something on the ground and start work. And here we are today, so you can see my handiwork. Looking all around, looking very strong. It's looking very secure, and I think this will do the job. So you can see the gap between the fence and the compost heap for security and for the compost not to damage the fence. So now I'm going to start putting my materials on. I have green leaves from earlier wish I would not have gone to harvest green leaves. Specifically, I would just use waste product and these wearing waste because I needed the sticks and they were just going to waste. So here I am taking out the leaves from the branches because although these branches will rot eventually, but they will take a lot longer than the leaves. You could also use the branches as a base to reinforce the bottom and create some sort of airflow. So I could do that next time. So I did know what would have been good if the compost pile, if it wasn't already set up before we start clearing the HQ. So we could just put the grass in straight away, and when we were brushing and clearing for beds, but we didn't do that, and that's a learning for next time. But it's fine now. You can see all the leaves. I've got plenty of fresh leaves, and even the grass, which is going to be cast as brown, they only be there for a couple of days. So I still have a lot of fresh nutrients in there, and they're going to bring a lot of green manure to the compost. You want 75% green, 25% brown, and if you have any fresh manure, you could also use that. What you will see that I actually have some menu as well. I have some pig menu which I will add. So now I'm adding in the browns, and you want some sort of sandwich or lasagna. Just keep adding in grains, browns, green browns. I also forgot to add water as I was going along, and I will add the water at the end, but usually you're going to put in the grains because and anything which you have, compost is about making use of your scraps. So usually you will have some waste lying around, the household waste, green manure from your garden, and you will use this to enrich your soil instead of just letting it to stay there, and it will not do much. So this is a way to maximize the waste. So you see, I'm adding all the grass, and it looks a bit of brown, but this is fresh grass. Now we put in the pig menu, and there are many students from the previous Let's Grow Plus 231 site in Yekepa, where the children's learning garden is. So the boys come in to help me from time to time, especially when they have leisure time on their hands, for which I'm grateful. So as you see, he's helping me to put the pig menu on the compost pile. Pig menu are usually best to be composted. Pigs are not herbivores like cows or horses, so the waste is not so good for plants directly when it's fresh. So composting your pig menu is a brilliant way to still utilize it and make it safe in the meantime. So here we're going to put in some more fresh leaves that we had lying around. We're doing the lasagna thing. Like I said, we forgot the weights. Usually you would water at this stage, so you could really get a good distribution of water throughout the compost. But I am not too worried about that because in the climate it's very humid, so I still feel it's going to have a good effect making this pile. So I continue with the lasagna mix by laying in green leaves, brown, green leaves, pig menu, and we did get a bit tall over the top on the height with this one because I simply wanted to use all the grass instead of just having them laying there to waste in the yard. So if the height did get a bit taller than the 1 meter, but that's fine. I'm expecting a lot of shrinking with this. So yeah, we learn as we go. So there are many boys here helping to load on the stuff, and it's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. So usually if I have already set up before we started clearing the land, I would have put the grass in the compost heap straight away, and I will only have to look for browns. And other different ideas for browns, you just use whatever available to you in your environment. But sawdust, yeah, we sometimes use sawdust here. I've got a lot of carpenters available to me, so I go and get sawdust from them. And in some countries, you have brown leaves, like when the trees shed their leaves in fall. So you could collect those. So here we going. Remember that we didn't add water when we were doing the layers. So now we're going to get some water. I didn't set up the water collection here at the new HQ. Currently, I'm using my landlord's well, and he allows me to use that sometimes. So it's going right for now. We need a lot of water. This is a big heap, and the water we are adding in is to create moisture, and obviously water is the life of everything, even bacteria that are dealing with dead stuff. So this isn't too hard to do, and I know a lot of people have made comments to me that I want to start my garden, but it's so hard. At the beginning there's a bit of work, but as you see, we do it together as a community. So ask your friends to help, and you will create a lot of ease in the future in order to do a very good no dig system. You need a lot of compost, and no dig helps the gardening tasks to go easier. So you will not have to dig, and you will not always need this help by yourself. You will be able to manage very well because you don't have the tax as digging to that while we doing all the compost to establish a beautiful no-dig system and also to make better use of our waste. And our waste can be a very useful product, especially with this. If you have your compost waste set up, you could put your kitchen waste in there, your garden waste in there. You would have to not worry about taking it somewhere else, disposing of it, or if the bean man don't show up to collect it, then you stuck with it. Instead, it's going towards enriching your garden and your family, and you are going to have healthy, loving food from all of this compost. So there you see me maneuvering with this ladder. So like I said, if you had put the water during the layers in the progress, I wouldn't have to add this ladder, but I am making it work the best way I can by any means necessary. Here, still working on it, and I'm going to put as much water as I can. Eventually, I will be covering this compost heap with a top. I have a plastic top that wouldn't let any rain in simply because I want to control the moisture in the heap. Sometimes you could choose to leave the heap open and let the element do their thing. However, there's a possibility that the heap could become too soggy. Here in West Africa, the heat isn't a problem. We have enough heat to get this compost really started and get really hot. And in case you're wondering about the grass seeds, most of them will die in the heat that the compost will generate when it's making. So it's fine to put all your weeds on there, and unless you are particularly certain that this one will not decompose, but for the most of them, 90%, and I don't mind doing a little weeding, bit of weeding if we can enrich the soil where I live here in Nima County that has a very heavy clay soil, and you do want to enrich it so you can get very good plants. And I don't want to use any chemicals, so compost is an ideal way to enrich your soil and just get lots of nutritious things from your waste for your plants. So I think I put almost enough water. Like I said, I will cover it with the tarpaulin. There are some membranes that you can buy that let water in, but that's not what I have. I have a plastic top. This is going to make the compost very hot and help with decomposition very fast. And it also means rainwater can go in, so I'm putting enough water into the compost as possible. So there you go. I love